is a matter of fighting for the rights of citizens to be able to vote, to cast a ballot. The right to vote is a right that we enjoy in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's a constitutionally mandated one. So I think that we look forward to the appeals. Hopefully, we will be able to get a better ruling out of that. But yeah, we are somewhat disappointed that we couldn't get it yesterday.
What's the fundamental principle behind taking the action that you did?
Well, I'll tell you, it's actually two different matters that are being heard at the same time. The substantive matter is a judicial review of the decision taken by the government to postpone the election for an entire year, which they're using the local government amendment bill, which was passed in both houses of parliament earlier this year. And they're saying, they're applying it to the current term of local government officials, which was due to come to an end on December 3rd. Now, what they're saying is that by doing this, they're extending the life of those local government officials, both councillors and aldermen, for a year, so that they can implement the other sections of the amendments that they want to enforce. So things like property tax, things like installing permanent positions and a permanent executive of these corporations, that sort of thing. They want to basically implement all the measures of the amendment bill before and local government election can be held. We are saying that that is incorrect. Any amendments to the corporations as they stand should have been implemented in the new term, which was due to be installed between December 3rd and December 4th and March 4th of next year, at which point there should have been a local government election. So that is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it was an injunction which we filed, and because of the illegality we feel in the matter of having these persons being installed past their expiry date, past the end of their term limits, we filed an injunction to have the judge deem all of those positions, both aldermen and councillors, vacant from December the 3rd until the hearing can be properly ruled upon. So yeah, those were the two matters, and it's in the injunction that we got the ruling for yesterday, in which she said, Justice Wilson handed down her ruling. She said that she felt that it was imperative that the local government corporations had some sort of continuance during all of these proceedings and during the term in which the amendments were being implemented because of their importance. We do not agree with that position. And again, like I said, an appeal was filed yesterday, and we're hoping to get a swift ruling on that as well.
So what is the basis of your disagreement with the ruling on the second point about not allowing the local government representatives to continue after, is it December 3rd, which is 2 days from now?
Yeah, it's in 3 days. Well, no, I mean, to have these persons serve past their term limits, for one, you're looking at the public purse, where you'll have the government paying these individuals past the time that they were elected to serve. They're still going to be collecting a salary. And then they are going to be allocating budgets, they're going to be allocating resources to different projects and stuff. And they wouldn't have been elected to serve in that period of time. They're as we see it, illegally past December 3rd. So, you're having extremely important positions filled by persons who are not meant to serve in those positions past a certain time. And we think that is wrong. We think that it's illegal. And that is the point of both the judicial review and the injunction. But it's the injunction that we think is more pertinent at this time because of the closeness in time that we are. Again, it's 3 more days until their term is due to expire. And we also think that, the government knew that this legislation was going to be implemented since June. It was passed in the Senate in June. It was approved and it was ascended. And they waited until November to have it proclaimed. And to wait until the last minute, 1 month before the election is due, we think there might be some ulterior motives there for that being implemented so late. Again, that's part of our case. But, the way that these things are unraveling, the way that they are unfolding, I think shows that the government are extremely desperate to hold on to power in any way they can, especially in these local government corporations, which I think they expect they may lose a few of them if an election were to be held. So, yeah, all of these things are things I think need to be deliberated in an appeals court in the Privy Council, and hopefully, we can get a better ruling.
To what extent you can sort of elaborate a little bit on what you say might be the ulterior motives as to what the government is, why the government is doing what it's doing?
Well, I mean, you would have seen the footage coming out of Bamboo number 2 yesterday, I believe. When the Minister of Local Government, the Minister of Works went down there to try to assess the situation of the floods. They went down there 3 days after the floods had occurred, but the way they were greeted, the reactions of the residents tell you that, people are very disenfranchised with local government, with the national government as it stands. And so they're looking for an opportunity to go back to the polls and to decide whether or not they want to keep certain individuals in the positions they currently hold, especially in local government. Again, you see the entire country is underwater right now. And it is the local government, is the Ministry of Works, who has a responsibility to prevent these types of natural disasters from occurring. They say, oh no, rain will fall. Yeah, rain will fall. But if you clear the waterways, if you do what you're supposed to do, if you put things in place, if you make sure the pumps are working so that, they can be run off, they can be pumped out, then people wouldn't have the sort of distress that they're under right now. We're heading into Christmas season, everyone looking to clean up. Now you have this extra layer of mud, of filth, your appliances going through your house, getting damaged, everything. People are extremely distressed at this point in time. And they're looking for some relief, especially in an election. So I think the decision by the government to postpone this election by an entire year tells you that they are not confident that they would regain some of the corporations and districts they currently held. And that may be one of the major reasons why they are postponing it.
All right, this sort of on the sidelines to this, it may not be a question for you to answer, but I'll still pose it. Nevertheless, maybe you have a perspective on it. A colleague of mine sent me a note a couple of days ago saying that it was one of the big stories for him when he began as a journalist decades ago, the question about people going to live in places like Bamboo, and that was supposed to have been disallowed, but that some administration along the way caved into it, and then it became a community. It became a big part of the business sector in the country, in a sense, because it's where people go in the main when they're looking for spare parts and accessories for vehicles and so on. So it's developed a name for itself. You go in there now, and it's activity from morning till night. You're saying that wasn't supposed to be? But this is a result of government caving into whatever. I mean, what's your feeling about that?
Well, it goes back to the PNM's position on lagoon dwellers. Everybody building in the lagoon, living in the lagoon and stuff. But I'll tell you, when you look across the highway from Bamboo number 2 in Valside North, which is supposed to be and was always designed to be a residential area. And that one would have gotten all the town and country approvals and so forth. When you look at the amount of flooding that goes on there. I mean, it's right across the road, but are they in a lagoon as well? And the thing about it, when you look at the country, the population of it is growing. It's 1.4 million now. Where exactly are people supposed to live if not in low-lying areas? Are they supposed to go on the hills and live? Because when you go on the hills and live, all you're doing is you're destroying the natural landscape and you're creating more floods in those low-lying areas by destroying the hills and the natural protection that those regions would have provided. Slash and burn farmers for years have been allowed to destroy all of these forests, all of these areas that would have held back the water, held back the soil from slipping down. But no one does anything to prevent that from occurring. So, when the government says, oh no, this lagoon, you're building in a lagoon and you deserve what you get, that's not true, because again, if proper measures were put in place to dredge rivers, to clean the rivers and dredge them, and to have the pumps, I from what I've learned, and I don't know how correct this is, but from what I'm hearing, there are 5 pumps in Bamboo which are supposed to pump out the water in times of flood, but apparently only one is currently working, and that is what has allowed the floodwaters to remain in these people's homes for as long as it has. And it's damaging their homes, it's damaging their furniture equipment the longer that it remains there, and it's preventing them from carrying out their daily lives. So all of these things, the government wants to blame people for where they're living and what they're doing. But if the government themselves had put things in place and prevented these things from happening, it wouldn't have been an issue. And when there was a better government in place, you would have found that these things simply were not occurring in the way that they're happening now. So, it's just a blame game going on with them because they don't have any solutions. They don't have any answers to provide to people who are in these positions right now. So I think they're just trying to deflect, as they normally do, from their own blame in this
All right. To what extent do you think this may be a divine intervention in a sort of way, whether it's good or bad? We could talk about it, what is happening now, and the extent to which local government representatives in one part of the country or the other are coming forward to treat with people's distress because of this flooding. And if the chamber were going to be vacated for this period, that will create another problem. The way in which local government officers, councillors, and other people are seen to be in the front line in different parts of the country, east to west, north to south, it's a confluence of some kind, don't you think? While this matter is being contested in the court.
Well, that was part of the reason in handing out her ruling yesterday that Justice Wilson gave for ruling out against our injunction. She said, because of, and she cited, the current circumstances as they were, that these local government officials were the first responders, were supposed to work and provide relief and solutions to the persons experiencing the flooding now. The thing about it is that if these persons are not in their positions for any amount of time, and the local government act, provides for the period of time when the term comes to an end and an election is held and persons are installed in these positions, all of those things are legislated, so that there is a continuation of duties within local government bodies where these things can be provided, these services can be provided. The thing about it though, and like I said, a lot of persons who are in these areas that are most heavily affected would be looking to their local government representatives to prevent the floods from happening to begin with. Again, it goes back to the basics. It goes back to cleaning drains, cleaning rivers, dredging, and making sure pumps are working. in the cases where these things aren't happening and where the persons who are most heavily affected are looking for some sort of redress, they must have the opportunity, therefore, to go out and vote whether or not they want to keep these persons in their office or they want to replace them with someone who they think will be more competent. So that is why the local government election is important, and it's why it's important to take place when it is constitutionally mandated. If we allow it to continue, we can allow it to continue. If we allow these persons to continue in their office past their term, we're allowing them to potentially mismanage, as they have been doing for 3 years, the public purse, and we are allowing them to continue to aggravate the situation and to create circumstances, as we're seeing today, where so many people have to be affected by these floods and by these natural disasters.
Well, what is an example to you of the mismanagement of the funds?
No, again, and like I said, it goes back to basic planning and development. I think it was Dr. Munilal would have said earlier this week that, the government has a certain amount of resources allocated to cleaning rivers. I think the number given was $10 million in the last budgeted year. And out of that $10 million, only I think 1.5 million was spent. And when they asked the minister, Rohan Sadanan, why wasn't the entire budget used in cleaning these drains, in cleaning these rivers, he said, even though in the budget on paper it says that, that money is for this purpose, in reality it isn't. And he didn't give a proper explanation. But again, if the rest of the money probably was used, or if more resources are given to these ministries and to the local government bodies, they would have the ability to prevent floods from happening. Everyone is looking to the relief that is provided after, but there is something to be said about preventing the floods from taking place and preventing persons from having to endure this year after year after year. So I think really and truly, again, it goes back to whether or not people are satisfied that the persons who are elected to serve them are doing their jobs, are properly allocating resources that are provided to them by the state. And in the cases where they are not, they need to be removed in the constitutionally mandated allotment of time.
All right. And what do you know, either on your own or from your discussions with people in your circles, as to the vulnerability of the government in some of these local government areas? Like, which ones appear to be trending towards changing hands? That they say that's the narrative of some people, that this is with the government's biggest fear, that it's going to lose ground in some of these areas. Like where, for instance? And what's the source of that?
Well, I mean, the local government minister said, that there was flooding, severe flooding in, I think, either 10 or 11 out of the 14 corporations in Trinidad and Tobago. And I think you have to look to all 14 because, I mean, it's held evenly right now between the UNC and the PNM. But I think a large number of them do fall within PNM, within the PNM jurisdiction. And I think, especially the Valtine incident is within the Tunapuna Piako Regional Corporation. There are persons in St. Helena, in Caroni, all within the Tunapuna Corporation, which I think could swing based on the response from the government. And I think that is also why you're seeing the ministries giving so much attention to these areas, because they're marginal, not only in local government but also in the general election. Valtine and Bamboo fall within St. Joseph constituency, which is marginal and currently held by the PNM. So again, they're focusing not only on their strongholds, I think, but on all of these marginal areas, all of these areas which they think are vulnerable to swing in a local or general election. And I don't know that it's enough. Again, to come 3 days after the rains and the floods have done their damage and say, look, we're now assessing, we're now trying to put things in place. I think other governments, past governments, such as the People's Partnership, were famous for heading out, during a crisis and trying to provide relief to victims and persons, as things were occurring, not after the fact. And it speaks to the intent, it speaks to the policies of the current administration. And I think people notice the difference. They notice, the difference in approach. And again, it's up to the Constitution to allow them the opportunity to either re-elect the persons that are currently holding office or to elect new persons as they see fit. And the government should not be preventing that just because they think an election might not go their way.
All right, so you have or in the process of filing that appeal action as we speak?
Yes, it was filed yesterday afternoon.
All right, we got to leave it there, my friend. We'll continue to watch it. Thank you very much, Ravi Bhargavan Maharaj.
Sure, and thanks for having me.
All right, as usual. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Ms. Jan Ryan, a board member and former secretary of WAND, the organization, correct name is Women in Action in Support of the Needy and the Destitute. What do they do? What's the inspiration behind it? Stay with us.
Every occasion a sparkling celebration with Rosabella alcohol-free wine.
Toast cheers with hourglass rays. Rosabella, live life with Rosabella sparkling drink. Celebrate!
Welcome to the American University of Barbados School of Medicine. We offer 2 comprehensive MD programs, 5.5-year program for high school finishers and 4-year program for college graduates.
The American University of Barbados has been accredited with the Barbados Accreditation Council, BAC, and has been accredited
by CAMHP.
as the medical school has affiliate hospitals at Baltimore and Chicago in the USA and the Caribbean islands.
Register now for the next intake, January 2023.
Your Christmas is safe with us at BCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union. Your Christmas is safe with us at BCU. Police Credit Union. BCU. Police Credit Union.
Get an easy zero-interest Christmas loan at Police Credit Union today. Borrow up to $25,000 with affordable monthly payments. New members, you get up to $10,000. No interest, no installments until January. Apply online at www.policecreditunion.com. Loan subject to credit approval.
Better Value Limited has been making gift giving easier and more affordable for over 26 years. Power tools, indoor, outdoor furniture and accessories, mini appliances, designer fragrances, houseware and home decor products, and all your bridal registry items. Now in stock, our stylish loft bed and study desk combo unit for just $16.50. Better Value Limited. Call 235-3709 or visit us at Princestown or Gulview, or check our Facebook page.
Step into a spacious place of creative ideas for your home space. Our floor and wall tiles and natural stone is ideal for any use you need in your home. Toilet, bathroom sets and vanities lend design to your creativity, while jacuzzis and shower enclosures create the mood for dwelling on life's pleasures. Lamps and lighting fixtures add ambience and memorable pictures. Olsen's Industrial Complex, Union Road, Marabella.
Take your list from A to Z, find it all easily. Everyone comes from far and near to the specialist hardware.
Get all you need for your interior or exterior projects, from finishing accessories to small or large tools. We're known for a range of doors, flooring, moldings, medallions, even fountain pumps and tanks. Check us out. We have what you need to get that job done.
Take your list from A to Z, find it all easily. Everyone comes from far and near to the specialist hardware.
Morrison's Industrial Complex, Union Road, Marbella.
Have a content capital Christmas. It's the best time of the year. Now I know we have no snow, but Christmas is still here. Ho ho, the Christmas shows each week for all to see. Movie classics wait for you and our local content for free. Have a content capital Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by God, we have a content capital Christmas this year.
Welcome back to the program. Well, we're talking with Ms. Jan Ryan. She's a moving member, a leading member of this organization called WAN. It says Women in Action in Support of the Needy and the Destitute. And they held a function a couple of weeks ago at the Hyatt in Port of Spain. I'm going to start by talking about the fact that it is the largest group of women gathered anywhere in Trinidad and Tobago I think I have seen in a long time. And it was a cross-section to behold. Jan, good to see you.
Good for you to have me, Andy. Thank you very much, and morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, good. So let's talk about what WAN is. Women
in Action for the Needy and Destitute. When we first started, we always wanted to help the people who fall through the cracks, because we realized that the government and other NGOs can't do all of it. So we thought that we would do our little part, because we found that each of us was doing a little charity, and we felt that if we put it together, we could do a better job. And that is how WAN started.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm happy that I went to that luncheon a couple of weeks ago for a number of reasons. One of the things about it is that the story of the organization itself, that and you had worked on that, sort
Yes.
of taking the lead on that when it was said at the function, to capture why the organization was formed and the work that it has done over these decades.
Yes. Well, what's the question? What did we do?
Yeah, and who, I think it was said that was your foresight to begin to sort of document the
Oh,
work.
yes, that was Andy, because in 2018, I was doing a project with the Interclub, and the Interclub is a group of 20 NGOs, and we meet from time to share information. And I was doing a project for them, and I noticed that the UK Women's Club, they had records going back 50 years. The Canadians had records going back 80 years. Our local NGOs did not have. I think we had a few that started some notes in 1968. And I thought, what a wonderful example it was for us, because as a new nation and so on, fairly new nation as compared to the UK and Canada, we should be doing the same thing. And of course, my husband, as a historian, I was really very pleased to see what was happening, and I felt that we should be doing something like that. I put it at the back of my head, and as I said, I collected all the records from 1998. I never wanted to get rid of it, you know. And then I started writing notes, and that's how it started. It never really occurred to me to do a book.
Yeah.
Right? It just started off with putting notes together, not wanting to get rid of the records because of, you know, I had seen Selwyn get records from the year dot, and so
Yeah.
right, it was a good example for me too.
Yeah, I thought I knew you, but in a sense that I don't, based on what I heard about your CV, or your working and participation life over some years. So you'd worked with the airlines. You had a position from which you worked from Caracas and other things like that. I didn't know some of that stuff.
Yes, tourism, yes, and tourism as well, But I left all that behind when I started working with one. When I say working, it's with, none of us are paid, right? It's we do it out of the joy of helping others. And we started 24 years ago, 4 of us, over lunch and discussion, and we discussed how we would go about it. We didn't have any money. We knew very little about an NGO, and we learned as we went along. We had people coming in and coming out, and the thing about it is it should not be too large or too small, because we got to a stage where we had 20 people and we couldn't get anything done. And we realized that, and as they couldn't come and so on, we got it smaller. So we got it to a group of between 10 and 12, and that worked much, much better.
Yeah. Having gone to that event, it made me think that maybe more women should be involved in more organizations in Trinidad and Tobago in leadership, because what does it take to bring out that group of people? It covered all the spectrum, like I said. Now I don't want to get to that in another way afterwards.
Well, I think it's dedication really to what you're doing, taking the organization seriously. Presenting it in a particular way, because don't forget, we only exist if we have donors, and donors have special needs, and unless you can work with your donors, because there are lots of reports to write and follow-up visits and so on, and unless you can please your donors, you cannot get money, and without money you cannot do any projects. So it is really a seriousness about your organization, and I have always felt that an organization such as an NGO should be run like a business, with accountability and transparency and so on, and that is what we are very, very strong on.
Yeah, and again, one of the things that struck me, like I say, the question I had in my mind from sitting there and watching this group of women, these several groups of women, like I said, there were ladies from my high school and Palo Seco Secondary, and people from different parts of the country I saw there. It was a picture of Trinidad and Tobago looked at with the presence of women. And you wonder why are we still so divided politically? Because there was everybody there representing every, I would think, political persuasion in that room.
Yes. Well, because, Andy, we are not political in any way. We obviously, we have our own private views, but that does not reflect the organization. We help everybody and anybody, and it is all over Trinidad and Tobago. Unfortunately, we don't get to do much in Tobago. We try to form a party, when I say that, a group in Tobago, but it really couldn't work. We do most of the work in Trinidad. And as I said, we could only do this because people are serious. They realize that we have to be accountable, and so our donors keep giving us money all the time to do projects. Now, we also have to look at the fact that some donors like to do particular things. Some would not give
support different causes from others.
Yes, some of them are interested in women, some of them are interested in boys, some in education. Some will give you money for furniture, some will not give you money for building works, and so on. So, you have to find a happy balance. And I see that you mentioned the women. One of the things that we always try to do is, when we are forming a board, is to ensure that the person is qualified or can bring something to the table, that we are ethnically balanced because it reflects the society, and so that everybody is comfortable when they're invited to a function of one.
That is clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have many people who still come, who started off with us in the very early days that are still attending the function, and they would call and say, when is the function? And people have also said to us that for them, this marks the beginning of the Christmas season. So as you could see, the ladies come out in all their finery, beautiful, looking beautiful, and so on, and meeting their friends that perhaps they haven't met for months.
Well, and again, I'm going to talk about that. For 2 years, you couldn't do this because of COVID and so on. So people had all this pent-up desire to reconnect and so on.
Yes, but even during COVID, we had donors who believed in us, and they gave us a lot of money. In one situation, we helped like about 1,500 students, no, it was more than that, in about 30 schools throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Packages of food, things for books, adopt the school program that the government brought out. So we were giving all of these things very quietly and helping our charities, because, you know, we have different charities that we consider that are our private charities that we have helped over the years. Some of them we say, well, look, let's try and find another charity for you because we need to help someone else. So that is how we work. But you were there at the opening of the drug rehab center in Palo Seco.
Yes. Beach Road, Palo Seco.
Yes, and that is still going. Over the COVID season, we could not take anyone in, and it was like about 2 or 3 people very carefully and quietly there. But Hulsi Bagan, who is a great administrator, has started back her work and getting the organization going again and getting, you know, people in.
Yeah, what struck me in going through the book again last evening to prepare for this, I saw there was a picture that some of you met with now King Charles III when he came here. I think, you know, that's a big score. So he came here as the Duke of Edinburgh some years ago.
Oh yes, that was in a very, very early ages when we started, and the British High Commission at that time had given us money to help the All-in-One Development Center. We walked through Beetham Estate, and it was in a deplorable condition, and we thought that we would help. So as they had given us the money, and we asked whether he would come, and they said yes, and so we were really very proud of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so let's go back to the place in Palo Seco. So that's the only place where you all support people in that situation.
Well, the truth is that between New Life Ministries and Living Waters, they do a great job because they have...
So you're with a partner with
yes,
Living
we
Waters for
partner.
that?
Yes, for instance, at the big luncheon, we had a table of 10 ladies from the center. And so we work together in that way, but they have really done a great job. They plant food for themselves, and this is part of the therapy for the women. They plant, they have chickens, they have eggs, and then we have at Kura Camp, we have 9 acres of land which was given to us by a private donor, and we have an aged home which Living Waters look after. And so produce from Palo Seco helps to feed the home. And any extra eggs or whatever comes down to Living Water and it's sold. Yeah. So we're interacting all the time.
We need to take a break, and we'll come back shortly. We're talking with John Ryan, one of the leading personalities behind this organization called WAN. Stay with us.
Whether it's a room for 1, 2, 3 or more, there's a room waiting with the ocean view almost to your door. Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, the perfect getaway when you don't want to travel far. The Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, Crown Point, Tobago. Call 639-8571 for your reservation.
Poolside nights, tiles and bars, making your home a work of art.
Step into a spacious place of creative ideas for your home space. Our floor and wall tiles and natural stone is ideal for any use you need in your home. Toilet, bathroom sets and vanities lend design to your creativity, while jacuzzis and shower enclosures create the mood for dwelling on life's pleasures. Lamps and lighting fixtures add ambience and memorable pictures.
Poolside nights, tiles and bars, making your home a work of art.
Oceans Industrial Complex, Union Road, Marabella.
Whether it's acid reflux, cataracts, glaucoma, or swollen prostate, diabetes, or weight loss, Customized Health Solutions has been helping Trinidad and Tobago for over 2 decades. So let us help you. Call 627-2640 for your Compass assessment now.
Is there not a cause?
Is There Not a Cause needs more help and volunteers for the many outreach events during this busy, critical season. You can volunteer and help in many ways: your time, your talent or skills, your resources, or your finances. Is There Not a Cause is making a difference, one life at a time. Check Is There Not a Cause's Facebook page for a calendar of outreach and fundraiser events, and share where you can volunteer, or WhatsApp 394-2042.
Make your list from A to Z, find it all easily. Everyone comes from far and near to the Specialist Hardware.
Get all you need for your interior or exterior projects, from finishing accessories to small or large tools. We're known for our range of doors, flooring, moldings, medallions, even fountain pumps and tanks. Check us out. We have what you need to get that job
Make your
done.
list from A to Z, find it all easily. Everyone comes from far and near to the Specialist Hardware.
Oceans Industrial Complex, Union Road, Marabella.
Better Value Limited has been making gift giving easier and more affordable for over 26 years. Power tools, indoor, outdoor furniture and accessories, mini appliances, designer fragrances, houseware and home decor products, and all your bridal registry items. Now in stock, our stylish loft bed and study desk combo unit for just $16.50. Better Value Limited. Call 235-3709 or visit us at Princestown or Gulfview, or check our Facebook page.
Welcome back to our discussion with Jan Ryan, a leading figure in the organization called WAN, Women in Action in Support of the Needy and the Destitute. We just have a couple of minutes left. So what are some of the things that you're working on now? Looking forward to the next big luncheon.
Well, we refer to ourselves as the first generation ladies of WAND, and by the next AGM in January, we will all be off of the board. There's still 3 of us on the board, and we will be off of the board, but we remain as members to give the younger members support. We have all the ladies that are going to be taking over are professional, younger women who have more energy than us after 24 years. And they will be taking over complete responsibility of the organization.
Leno Joseph, I mean, to see people like that, retired public servant, coming back and performing the functions of MC and so on. Like I say, there's women from every strata, every walk of life, every kind of engagement.
Yes,
forms part of this organization.
Leno had experience. She worked with BG and other big companies. So it is nice that when these ladies are willing to come and just give their service free of charge, for charity. And you asked about going forward. The younger ladies are now looking at the possibility of working with the shelter. Details have not been worked out as yet, but they're working on it, and other small projects, because they're now starting, and although some of them have been on the board with us for 7 years, it is different when you're now in the seat than when you were supporting. So you know, we're working together to try and get.
And you talk about the shelter. A lot of people, when they hear that name, they want to know what it is about. The shelter. That's a place for a safe space for battered women.
Yes, well, that was an organization that was formed by Diana Mahabir Wyatt, and well, of course, she's no longer there. But as it is,
Roberta Clark is involved in it, and to some extent.
Well, I'm not sure who else is involved, but at this stage, it is just a matter of discussion, and the new board will have to make decisions of how they go forward, right? But the older generation, the first generation one, we have completed our projects.
Yeah.
And we're handing over now, and it's nice.
But I think from what I heard, you're going to remain as a kind of advisory board.
Yes, to give them support, to help open some doors for them, because we've been there for 24 years, and you know, we know people, we have contacts and so on. So we're there to help them, but they're bright young women, and they may come up with even better ideas than us, because the world is changing, technology is different. So, you know, you may find a different one doing the same work, maybe even better than we have done it.
Well,
So,
that would be a tall order, I think, you know, I see that, because one of the questions, again, that came to my mind looking and interacting with some of them is that there's a secret to which you are able to get the kind of support you get from donors, because that is an issue for a lot of people in the NGO community about the difficulties to get people to buy in and to come on board.
well,
What's the secret of your success?
to really give the donors what they want, and which is accountability and transparency. And when you get money and you tell a donor that you're going to do A, you do A. You don't take some of their money and do B. If you want to do that, you have to get their permission. And also to ensure that you write your reports on a timely basis, because they also have to report to their people. So once they know, because I mean, during the COVID, we had no problem in getting support, because people knew that we're responsible, and that we will write our reports to them. So we had no problems, and I think that is the secret. And also, we as women getting together, we were not afraid to say to each other what we wanted to say. Nothing was personal. We were very open in what we liked, what we didn't like, what we supported, and we always went on consensus. So everybody participated, and everyone was equal on the board.
All right. Well, good show, and just best of luck with between now and the next event. I hope I get invited if I'm wrong.
We'd love to have you anytime, Andy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Jan, Ryan, as we head up to, is there anything you wanted to say?
I just wanted to say thank you very much, Andy, for having me, and I hope that I have enlightened some members of the public as to what WAND is all about, and we are happy to help Trinidad and Tobago and whoever else that we can help.
What you do and the success of what you do. Yes. Thank you very much. We're going to take a break. We have news at the top of the hour, followed by our discussion with Grace Lefourie, who's the head of the Society of Planners in Trinidad and Tobago. That's continuing a discussion as to why in some cases we have the kind of challenges that we have with flooding and displacement. Stay with us.
Here is your WESN News on the hour. I'm Sean Michael Small. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Supply vessel in Heritage Field sinks. Chambers promised flood relief in the amount of $250,000 for flood-affected citizens. Sangre Grande resident suffering, says chairman, teen in court for robbery offenses. And internationally, Japan court upholds ban on same-sex marriage. Now for the details. The Trinity Group of companies has confirmed that their vessel, Liftboat Daniela, has capsized and now sits on the seafloor, no longer posing a risk to any of the Heritage Petroleum platforms or installations. On the morning of November 30th, at about 8 a.m., the vessel was engaged in routine operations preparing for departure from Heritage Petroleum well S822 Northfield. Shortly after the vessel developed a list, the vessel's captain made the safe decision to abandon the ship, whereby all crew and personnel were evacuated to a nearby vessel, which transported them back to the base in Point Fortin. The business chambers have promised flood relief for flood-affected citizens to the tune of over $200,000. TT Chamber President Charles Pashley says the move came following a call for assistance from ICNTT.
The joint chambers decided to donate $250,000 to assist ICNTT on the ground in aid for the flood victims. This would include everything from bottled water to hot meals that they're actually delivering on a daily basis to the flood victims.
The chamber president also gave his opinion on what may be the cause of the flooding that has been occurring over the last few days.
Flooding, quite frankly, is all of our fault, in inverted commas. I think that there's a level of infrastructural challenges that we've not addressed over the last 40 years. I do think that some errant contractors have also built on where they should not have. So those two things together, I think, along with the increased rainfall.
Chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, Anil Jutaram, has lamented that residents in the corporation continue to suffer due to the incessant flooding.
They are very, very frustrating. You know what it is to be flooded out 11 times in 1 month? It's really, really heartbreaking to see these people, the look on their faces, the frustration, and a lot of these things are man-made up. It's not just climate change we're talking about and global warming.
A 15-year-old boy was arrested by officers of the Central Division in connection with a report of robbery with aggravation which occurred in the Caripichaima district on Friday. Investigations into the incident resulted in officers of the Freeport Criminal Investigations Department arresting and charging the teenager for robbery with violence and robbery with aggravation. He is expected to appear before the Faizabad Children's Court to answer to the charges. Internationally, a Tokyo court has upheld a ban on same-sex marriage in Japan, but also said that the ban was a violation of human rights. The compensation case was brought by 4 couples who claimed the law was discriminatory. Japan is currently the only G7 nation that does not recognize same-sex marriage. Campaigners have welcomed the ruling as an indication to the government that it needs to change the law. Well, that's the news on the hour on WESN. I'm Sean Michael Small. Thanks for watching. Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com. Have a content capital Christmas. It's the best time of the year. Now I know we have no snow, but Christmas is still here. Ho ho, the Christmas shows each week for all to see. Movie classics wait for you and the local content for free. Have a content capital Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by golly, have a content capital Christmas this year.
All right, welcome back to the program, and welcome back to this guest, Grace Lefury. She's head of the Society of Planners in Trinidad and Tobago. We began a discussion a couple of weeks ago on her concern about what is happening in the country and the contribution to that of the fact that in a lot of cases, planning and development takes place without proper supervision. And I think we ended the discussion by asking to what extent indiscriminate building on elevated areas in the country, such as in parts of the Northern Range, leads to the flooding of the Caroni River. I think that's, and we see that has been happening.
Of course. That is a major issue in what we call the Caroni River Basin, what is happening in the Northern Range. Because we can talk about the fact that we put people to live in floodplains, as in Greenville, Lahoketa. But really we have to go back to the source. And I didn't know if I could display any. I sent some images that I thought we could throw up.
Yeah,
with respect to the kind of earth-moving operations that take place unnecessarily. And
earth-moving operations that
right,
take place.
To erect buildings
on
the hillsides.
Things that shouldn't be allowed.
It's just the extent of the problem, because we're not saying do not build in the Northern Range, but there are standards that are applicable and that would allow for development that is safe, because a lot of what is happening with flooding, let us say in this part of the country, is the sedimentation that goes into the rivers, that clogs the rivers and that kind of thing. There's a study that was done by UE a few years ago that proved that it is development that was taking place in the hillsides in the St. Joseph Valley that was responsible for the flooding that at the time, I think that was the early 2000s, that at the time was taking place. And there was flooding again. I mean, there was a time when there was no development taking place. So we had a break, and then recently again, I think this weekend or last weekend, there was flooding again. But there's a lot of, and I think I said the last time, it is not the little man who goes up there with a few sheets of galvanized and some bricks and a hammer and some nails. It's the bulldozers and the kind of earth-moving operations that are required in some of those buildings that is not necessary, because you can build, there's something that we call terrain adaptive architecture.
Terrain adaptive,
where you adapt your building to the terrain as opposed to the other way around. You don't carve out a piece of the Northern Range to put your building on. So it is possible to allow for building in the Northern Range, depending on the gradient too of the land. And what does that have to do with flooding? Again, it's the sedimentation that migrates from the sites. You do this in the rainy season, and again, planners would try to encourage people having to do earth-moving operations, to do it in the dry season, do it in the rainy season, and all of that siltation gets into the water courses, and that's one of the problems that create blockages to the flow.
I went to a neighborhood some weeks ago, the second time that I'd gone up there, a place called Sonora Park in Carenage and so on. You want to know how people could decide in the first place to build massive expensive structures and some of the elevated
right.
areas.
Well, they go for the views. Yeah. They go for the views, and then decide to fashion the land to suit putting a house on. you know, it's the views, I guess, are important to a lot of people. But it is expensive, obviously.
Yeah.
And
you make that point. I think it needs to be reinforced. You say it's not the small man who does
right,
these things.
It's not the one who goes up with this.
Gets leeway to do
it's
these
the bulldozers.
things. Yeah.
I wasn't referring to the small man in terms of the others having the ability to do it. It's just that it's the bulldozers that create the problem. That you put your bulldozers up there to carve out the whatever.
So part of the issue lies with the means by which people get authority or clearance to do these things that's questionable.
Well, don't think that because you see those houses in that particular place or anywhere else that it's approved. I tell you, I think every day I leave my house, I see something that I know could not have been approved. The extent of unauthorized development in this country is very alarming. I would say most of what you see a lot of what you see on the ground most likely does not have planning approval. And of course, without proper monitoring and enforcement, and there are a lot of reasons for that. There's staff issues, staff shortages, and so on that do not allow for proper monitoring of development. So we have a lot of problems with the fact that developments are not monitored.
Yeah.
That unauthorized development takes place and nothing happens.
Right, I want to get to that and your question as to why, but somebody in the control room is asking, what is your view on, what is your comment on what is called slash and burn agriculture, and to what extent that is
That is also a problem, of course, because the problem with, let's say, go back to the Northern Range, and thank God we don't have that problem in the main ridge in Tobago, because the main ridge has protected status. But
it's a good thing that people don't violate it.
That's correct. I think we've been very blessed that we haven't had that kind of problem in Tobago. But the fact that, what was the question again?
Slash and burn agriculture.
Slash and burn. Right. Of course, the problem is denuding the hillside of vegetation. So that, of course, is an issue.
I wanted to talk about, you know, the extent to which, well, how the question of getting permission to do some of these things, how you think that should be treated, and it has to be treated, and why there seem to be blind eyes and deaf ears about it?
Well, it's about enforcing the law, and I mean, we are a lawless society, I would say. In a lot of
find ways to break the laws, and then that is allowed.
And then, if it's not, and look at what is happening in a lot of our water courses. I think with everything I've read so far about the flooding, for instance, I'm reading about flooding in Mafican village, Mayaro, and it's because, the MP says it's because somebody narrowed the riverbed. Bamboo, I saw a video clip of
in the bamboo settlement.
In bamboo settlements.
Number 2 is, yeah.
That it was one individual that adjusted I'm calling it adjusted the riverbed so that he could get access to his land or something like that. And you have these stories all the time of somebody building a wall. You hear, you know, what happened on Sari Grande a few weeks ago was attributed to a developer who made some alteration in the drainage channel. So there's that kind of unauthorized development that is responsible, whether it's putting up a building or making some kind of interference with the drainage patterns.
With no consequence, either to the people who should supervise and superintend these things, as opposed to the people who actually do it.
I guess, yes.
And you had been saying something, and then it called to mind for you what is happening in the Woodbrook area now, with along the RP Avenue, the hangout, the popular hangouts now.
Interestingly enough, we had a World Tongue Planning Day last month, I thought that we wanted to focus on people participation in planning. And I know that the people of Woodbrook have been complaining that there are all these plans going on, they have not been allowed to participate. So we had a business meeting to allow the people of Woodbrook to come in and talk to the public. Our business meetings are supposed to be public, and so it's advertised. And I'm not sure what the audience was like. But yes, Woodbrook is a problem.
Yeah, and when you say we, you're talking about
it's
the society?
It's a different kind of problem.
The society had this business meeting?
Yes, the Society of Planners. Yeah. To celebrate World Town Planning Day, and I thought the business of participation, having people participate in the planning process, was important enough for us to have a meeting on that.
Yeah, but you were talking about the meeting, and you're saying that some of the people weren't.
What I wanted to say about that is, I think you started it with relation to the business of unauthorized development.
Yeah.
A lot of what is happening in Woodbrook is actually approved. The change that the residents are complaining about from residential to commercial, a lot of that is approved, and there was a process. There was a time when policy for Woodbrook was strictly residential, and that policy changed over time.
Yeah.
So a lot of that is, but also there's a little difference in that some of the problems that the people of Woodbrook have not much to do. Well, it is obviously related to the use of premises for commercial purposes. But I think they're concerned about some plans that appear to be afoot to convert, I think, Arapita Avenue to a festival strip or something like that.
Yeah, I think the mayor announced something to that effect some time ago.
So that has...
And the people objected, but it seems as though there was no prior consideration or consultation, even discussions with the people.
We don't do consultation on anything in this country. So, and I also wanted to weigh in, Andy, on the what to do about the flooding at this point.
Yeah.
There's a call to do something to fix it. It cannot be fixed today. Okay? We can talk about engineering solutions. If we had a few $1 billion, we could throw up some embankments all along the water courses to increase the volume of water that the water courses can carry. We do not have that luxury.
Yeah.
You had some of those things happening in Europe, because Germany has been really severely affected, and even with the best infrastructure in the world, there is going to be flooding, because it's just all part of the climate change phenomenon. It's something that we have to come to grips with. And what I think we need to do, as opposed to talking about the engineering fixes, is to deal with the fact that there is going to be flooding. It's probably going to happen again this rainy season. The next rainy season is, 7 months off? And I think we need to be planning to mitigate the impact of the flooding on people's lives, as opposed to thinking that we could tomorrow put up these embankments that we need and do whatever the engineering is required.
Yeah, so you think we're done for now with the flooding? You say we'll probably get more next season. So
well, if you look at patterns in other countries and what has been promised from climate change, it's like it can happen again before this rainy season is over.
Yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble in any way. I mean, you'd sidestep the question if you wish. But what do you make about the official saying that, telling people in one community that this is going to be your last flood?
I will sidestep that question, Mr. Johnson. But I just wanted to say, I'm doing my own little plan, and I'm thinking that, again, we need to be focusing on mitigating the impacts of the flooding that we will have. And one of the things that we need to make sure that there are evacuation centers to evacuate people. We have to be focused now on protecting people's lives in whatever is to come. So you have to make sure the evacuation centers are in place, and that is also a planning function, to allocate land for planning evacuation centers in areas that are safe and that are accessible. We have to if necessary, remember what happened in New Orleans with Katrina.
Yeah.
People who could not get to safety because they simply did not have the transportation. So we have to assist people in those ways to get to safety. I think one of the things that we also need to be doing, and that we can do now, is to assist people in flood-proofing their homes. There's only so much that a sandbag can do. You know, you can put a sandbag that will stop.
What are some of the more effective ways of flood-proofing?
Well, this is something that I think this is an engineering intervention. I think that the engineers could assist in that respect in terms of how to do it. There's a small building code that was drafted a long time ago that we need to pull out. It was never finalized. And that actually has requirements with respect to the height of a habitable floor above ground level.
All right, we need to take a break. We'll come back in a moment. Stay with us.
At Belgroves, celebrating life is our commitment with integrity, compassion, and dignity for your loved ones. Belgroves Funeral Home and Crematorium, serving Trinidad and Tobago for over a century.
Horse-eye lights, tiles and bars, making your home a work of art.
Step into a spacious place of creative ideas for your home space. Our floor and wall tiles and natural stone is ideal for any use you need in your home. Toilet, bathroom sets and vanities lend design to your creativity, while jacuzzis and shower enclosures create the mood for dwelling on life's pleasures. Lamps and lighting fixtures add ambience and memorable pictures.
Horse-eye lights, tiles and bars, making your home a work of art.
Hosins Industrial Complex, Union Road, Marabella.
Make every occasion a sparkling celebration with Rosabella alcohol-free wine.
Toast cheers with hourglass rays. Rosabella, live life with Rosabella sparkling drink. Celebrate!
Your Christmas is safe with us at PCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union. Your Christmas is safe with us at PCU. Police Credit Union. PCU. Police Credit Union.
Get an easy zero-interest Christmas loan at Police Credit Union today. Borrow up to $25,000 with affordable monthly payments. New members, you get up to $10,000. No interest, no installments until January. Apply online at www.policecreditunion.com. Loan subject to credit approval.
Better Value Limited has been making gift giving easier and more affordable for over 26 years. Power tools, indoor, outdoor furniture and accessories, mini appliances, designer fragrances, houseware and home decor products, and all your bridal registry items. Now in stock, our stylish loft bed and study desk combo unit for just $16.50. Better Value Limited. Call 235-3709 or visit us at Princestown or Gulview, or check our Facebook page.
Is there not a cause?
Is There Not a Cause needs more help and volunteers for the many outreach events during this busy, critical season. You can volunteer and help in many ways: your time, your talent or skills, your resources, or your finances. Is There Not a Cause is making a difference one life at a time. Check Is There Not a Cause's Facebook page for a calendar of outreach and fundraiser events and share where you can volunteer or WhatsApp 394-2042.
Whether it's your family meet and eat or your own personal getaway retreat, a business trip, accommodation, or a couple's celebration, the Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa has room for you. There's always sumptuous, delicious cuisine and the gym and tennis court for a good workout routine. Then relax by the pool or on the private beach, or just head to the spa. It's also within reach. The Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, Tobago's best beach resort. For reservations, call 639-8571 or check our website.
Take your list from A to Z, find it all easily. Everyone comes from far and near to the specialist highway.
Get all you need need for your interior or exterior projects, from finishing accessories to small or large tools. We're known for a range of doors, flooring, moldings, medallions, even fountain pumps and tanks. Check us out. We have what you need to get that job done.
Your list from A to Z, find it all easily. Everyone comes from far and near to the specialist hardware.
Oceans Industrial Complex, Union Road, Marbella.
We really don't have a lot of land left to build. 5,000 square kilometers of land that makes up Trinidad and Trinidad and Tobago, and we can't engineer our way out of some of these solutions. Those are some of the comments of our guest, Grace Lefourie, as we talk about the challenges we face with planning and with building and development in Trinidad and Tobago. We have a couple of minutes left on the program. What would you like to leave us with?
Well,
in addition to what I just said there, about what you say.
Right, yeah, just to stress that we can't put people to live in harm's way in the floodplains or to allow people to indiscriminately destroy the hillsides.
Yeah, we shouldn't, but we're doing it.
We're doing, right, we should not.
We should stop that.
We should, right, and then try to engineer away the problems by talking about expensive embankments and retaining walls and that kind of thing. It has to be the long-term view with respect to how we use land and where we put people to live. And I had started to talk about the business of the small building code.
Yeah.
There's a small building code that does have guidelines with respect to keeping people safe in their homes, requirements with respect to the height of a living floor above flood level and so on, in flood-prone areas. So we have done so much planning and codification and policy making that really kind of just sits on shelves.
Yeah,
the work has been done, and we know, I think we know.
And people are continue to be allowed to break the rules.
Right.
That's the nature of the societies we have.
I think so, unfortunately. So enforcement, again, I listened to some of the affected residents and the fact that somebody has done something with respect to altering a drainage course, and nobody says anything about it. And it's only when there's some falling out or something, and we've seen it a lot with respect to the building when I had my time at Town and Country Plan Division. Somebody builds something, and it's only when there's a fallout with the neighbor that the neighbor complains, and then it's too late to do anything about it. So people have to speak up and point out and insist on the authorities take action against some of what is going on.
All right, Grace Lefourie, thank you very much. We have to keep talking about matters of that sort, the culture of, I would say, allowance, if you like, for people to break the rules and break the laws and doing what they want to do. We have to leave it there, but let's tell you, we take you out with this. It's a bizarre event. The sky turned blood red at a night in a city in China. Take a look.
这是什么天气啊！哇靠，这个天怎么啦？咋回事？咋叫他的？
这
All right, let's just tell you what's on the front pages of these newspapers. Newsday, Trinidad and Tobago. The headline is Customs Under Fire. The JSC puts gun entry through legal ports in its sights. Bamboo residents apologized to the ministers for the headlines yesterday. They were reported as having been shouted at. That's the Trinidad and Tobago Newsday. On the Tobago Newsday, no parent, no entry. Praise for malls ban on students. The PNM and Tobago Convention is today, they say. So that's the front page of the Newsday Tobago. And that's our broadcast for this edition of the program. We thank you for watching. We tell you could send your emails to amprime@wesn.cc. You could check us out on all the social media platforms. In half an hour, the guys come in for Talking Point after the news at the top of the hour. But for now, thanks for watching. I'm Andy Johnson. We'll see you tomorrow.
WESN.
I am Karen Nunes Teixeira, number 9 of 11 siblings, born into a close-knit family. Many have tried to define me throughout my career, and even now, in this race for political leadership. I am a devoted mother of 2 children and adoring grand of 2 grandsons. My parents raised me to help those in need, appreciate and respect people for who they are, and treat each person with dignity. My father's watchwords were, "But for the grace of God, who I." These core values have been instrumental in the work of the Reach for the Stars Foundation, which I founded and which has provided direct scholarship grants, laptops, school books, and other educational assistance for approximately 100 young persons in our communities.
The newest book is here, Closer to the Church, the debut novel by author and former mayor Louis Lee Singh, available at all the Home Store branches, Barataria, West Mall, Shogunas and C3 San Fernando. Paper-based bookshop 10 Nook Avenue, St. Anne's, WESN 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook, Metropolitan Bookshop, Ariapita Avenue, Woodbrook, and all RIK bookstores nationwide. Available online as paperback on Amazon.com and Kindle for e-readers. For more info, call 628-5835 or 389-6504. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh, I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, and Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People.
Dear Santa, this year has been rough. Prices going up and with dust going down. So Santa, this year for iShare, we ain't asking for no toys and no gifts. We just asking for food and non-perishable items to help all the people who can't buy them.
Ho ho, that's very nice.
Hey, Santa, you here? You bring the stuff?
Oh, well, no, I just outside.
Santa, me and you go get where?
Well, I know reach.
Santa, watch me. Let's go and get a thing for me, please.
Who child is this?
iShare, the Devon Matthews Charity Drive is back, and we're asking for your donation of non-perishable food items to help those in need. Contributions can be made at Dev's Barbershop, Scrapes Car Wash, the Bocas Restaurant and Bar, or for more information, contact 724-8616 or 785-8238. iShare, brought to you by the No Youth Left Behind organization, the Lit Foundation, and the friends and family of Devon Matthews.
I'm Sean Michael Small, and we are WESN, the content capital.